AI covers what you need to know. I'm Karen Beery with Right Now Editing, where we turn good manuscripts into great books.
And I'm Peg Thomas, multi-award winning author and editor, and we are two editors for 5 minutes. Set that timer, Karen.
Timer's going. So today we're
All
going to talk.
right, today
Oh,
I want to talk about covers.
yes. Especially because last week we did
Be-
touch a little bit on AI. You can't
yes,
avoid it. So let's just talk about that right now. You are not going to be able to avoid AI in publishing right now because even if you don't use a single AI tool, everyone in publishing is talking about it.
yes.
So let's talk a little bit about something that's not right. We're not going to go into the writing aspect of it, but what about the cover side of things? Because that's not anything that
Yeah.
we're learning that we work on. But regardless of your project, you need a good cover.
Covers sell books.
Yes.
It's just true, especially with Amazon, where you see this little thumbnail, and you need to grab the reader's attention. You need to grab their attention. They need to know what genre it is by the cover. You know, there's just so many expectations wrapped up in that cover. And we're seeing more and more AI covers coming in because one, they are more price friendly, and two, easier to find good cover artists. You know, sometimes you wait 6 months to get a cover from a good cover artist. They're so backed up. And not everybody has 6 months to wait or whatever's going on there. But in my case, writing historical, and I write early American, the current series I'm writing is set in 1692. Finding models that represent that era are very difficult with appropriate dress, appropriate hairstyles, appropriate backgrounds, and even not having makeup. So many of the models out there to use are just plastered with makeup, which totally takes you out of the time period. So for me, it's really nice because I can get images that look like my time period. And I hear the same from people who write biblical, medieval, any of these older time periods where there were no photos to work from. So we're using, photos from different sources and trying to Photoshop. And AI does it faster, gives us more options, and it's becoming, I think, much more mainstream. There are now publishing houses who are incorporating bits of AI in their covers. So it's going through the industry. And back in the day, covers were all oil paintings. You know, the publisher contracted an artist to do an oil painting, and then Photoshop came in, and it was a huge brouhaha that, oh my gosh, people are photoshopping book covers. They're no longer being painted. This is terrible. But we, the public, didn't know it because there was no internet. So we didn't see it on Twitter. We didn't see it on Instagram. It wasn't plastered everywhere that we go look. We're seeing this brouhaha over AI covers because we do have the internet and people can go plaster it everywhere we look. But it really isn't any difference. It's the difference of technology. As it changes, some people, yes, are going to be hurt by the changes. Other people are going to benefit from the changes. But both sides just need to learn to adapt. We can't take it away. There are some book contests which are excluding any books with an AI generated cover. I don't think that's going to last any longer than the contest that used to exclude indie published books. That went on for a number of years. If you were indie published, you couldn't enter the contest. Eventually, people went, well, okay, I guess they can. And we're going to see the same thing with AI covers. The contests that are excluding them now, I think fairly quickly are going to change their minds on that because they're not going to get people entering their contests.
Now, because we like to do both sides and we've got about a
Yes,
minute left. Because we had mentioned this a little bit when we were chatting beforehand. Um, because there's always a flip side. And it
yes.
used to be I'm only going to read traditionally published books because I don't know what the quality of indie published books are. But we know there are some amazing indie published books out there. Now there are some people that I'm seeing, readers I'm hearing from that are like, well, that's not a good litmus test anymore. So my new litmus test is going to be if it's an AI generated cover, I'm not going to purchase it because I don't know if there's any AI in the book. So It's one of those things, and again, we talked about this last week. We kind of have to wait this out and see how things change. We have to see what's going to happen. So there are good and bad, there's pros and cons to everything.
Yep.
Um, but know that there are a lot of places, even some publishers, that are turning to AI to use in their covers, but recognize that there are some hardcore that absolutely, it's a no-go for them.
Yep.
So
And it's also good to realize that like AI imaging software, like I use for my covers, does not do writing, does not do text. Just because you can do a cover in it doesn't mean you can write a book in it. Those are different programs. There is one program that will help you do both that I know of, but most of them, one or the other. So just because an author you see is using AI to create a cover doesn't mean she has access to use AI to do anything inside the book. Those are generally two different programs.
but that's all that we've got for 5 minutes today. So if you have any
More roll with
questions,
the punches. This is
uh,
another roll with the
it,
punches
it really
episode.
is.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We check those as frequently as we remember to. And until then, I am Karen Beery.
And I'm Peg Thomas. We'll see you next time.
Bye.